It's the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to our first Francesa Football Friday as we raise the curtain on another NFL campaign. It's very good to do it. Finally, it's here, and we are ready to roll with all the action from Week 1 in the National Football League, which began last night with a 21-20 win for the Lions in Kansas City. Now, you know the Chiefs were without Chris Jones. You know they were without the best tight end of his generation in Kelce. So, obviously, they were hampered. But they lost the game because they just did not execute what has become an offense we expect to see very good to superb execution, especially in key moments of ball games. I mean, with Kelce out and a new group of receivers in a lot of ways, untested receivers, it was going to be interesting to watch. Now, they have been talked of Kadarius Toney since they procured him from the Giants. You know, he's always injured. He was injured again this preseason. But they had big expectations for him, and he was going to become a bigger part of the offense last night because Kelce was out. You also have heard, and one of the real fantasy darlings of this preseason was Sky Moore, who was going to be a jack of all trades for the Chiefs. Very speedy individual who can run the ball. He ran it once last night for 4 yards and can line up in myriad positions, use his speed, get down the field. Between the two last night, they were targeted 8 times, mostly in the second half. They had one catch officially. Really, it was an inside pitch at the goal line that Toney couldn't turn up for a touchdown. Otherwise, they did not catch a pass last night in 8 targets and had pivotal plays in the game. The Chiefs lost this game, not on defense, because they only allowed 14 points, and a pick six really was a very big factor in this game on a ball Toney should have caught. As a matter of fact, there were a lot of balls last night Toney should have caught. Stunning drops, one after another, and then late in the game, after the Lions made what I thought was a very poor decision to go on 4th down and leave them a very short field for a field goal and maybe a put-away touchdown, he hits Toney wide open. And again, another drop for Toney, who was glaring in the drops he had last night. There wasn't a drop. There was drop after drop after drop. And then you had the inefficiency where he finally hits Moore for a big play, and now they're in business. That gets called back because of a hold. They got 2 big penalties, including that one on the offensive line on that last drive. And on 4th down, that was a ball. Wasn't an easy catch, but let's be honest. They expect Moore to catch that ball. Moore expects to catch that ball. So with all the drops and inefficiency they had last night, it wound up costing them the game. Now, take nothing away from the Lions, who ran that ball in key spots behind an offensive line that they trust a lot. They made enough plays to be positive in the game. It wasn't a big offensive game. But it is an enormous win for the Lions, who have gotten off the slow starts. They finished very fast last year, which made them everybody's darling this year. I still have big question marks about the defense. But it's a big, big win to open the season at Kansas City against the defending champs when they raised the championship banner and you beat them Week 1. That is an enormous win for their program in a year where a lot is expected from the Lions. You know, the Lions have been one of the real dormant franchises forever in the NFL. They're one of the few franchises that has never been to a Super Bowl. But there are great expectations this year, just like there are here in New York for the Jets. Great expectations for the Lions, and they score in Week 1 because they were opportunistic because they ran the ball in key spots, but mainly because Kansas City didn't have Kelce to bail them out and got absolutely horrid, borderline embarrassing performances from Moore and especially Kadarius Toney. I mean, as Andy Reid said in the postgame, hey, let's be honest. We would have been fine if we just hold on to the ball. And I've watched these guys in practice. They hold on to the ball. Tonight, they didn't catch the ball. And they didn't catch the ball. And Toney got booed out of the stadium, and deservedly so, late in the game as Mahomes put both hands on the helmet, not used to guys not making plays downfield. And last night, Toney and Moore didn't make plays downfield. And when they finally did make a play downfield to Moore, it got called back because of a hold. So the Chiefs lose in week 1, which doesn't mean much to them. I understand that. I mean, they've been to the AFC title game 5 years in a row. So, I mean, they are going to be a factor down the stretch. We know that. They easily could have won the game last night. But it is a real boost to the Lions, who want to get off to that fast start and want to make really a very big declaration this year under a very, dynamic head coach who has very big designs on this season. Now, talking about designs on this season, we have waited forever as we have lived through this awful baseball season. We have waited forever for the curtain to raise for the Giants and the Jets, where there is incredible anticipation and incredible optimism. Coming off last season for the Giants, which was a big surprise year, they were brilliantly coached by Dable and by the defensive coordinator last year, who made so many big, aggressive calls in the stretch of games that was pivotal to the Giants, surprising so many different people last year. But the Giants, who are now very well run and have one of the real good head coaches in this league to lead the way, the Giants face a tough schedule. The two best teams, I think, in the NFC are in their division, and that's Philly and Dallas. And they could easily be a better team and take a step back record-wise. That's what they face this year. I think they're still a year away. I think they're better. I think they're better on the offensive line. I think they're better on defense. I think they're better in the secondary, despite the fact they're going to start 2 rookies into corners. They clearly are going in the right direction. I think they are headed on the right path for the first time in many years. But I think it could take them another year. This could be a year of consolidation. Now, for the Jets, we know that from everything, since the day Aaron Rodgers has arrived, the expectations have been through the roof. And they have a superb defense, a tremendous defensive core. Yes, the Jets have talked too much in preseason. Yes, their head coaches talked too much. Yes, the Hard Knocks thing was hard to digest. But the bottom line is this team should be right there in a loaded division, in a loaded AFC. You could make the case that at least 7 of the top 10, and maybe even 9 of the top 12 teams in this league are in the AFC. That's how loaded the AFC is. That's how light the NFC is. The NFC is Dallas, Philly, and San Francisco. That's it. The Lions might come up and be the next team. The Falcons might come up. The Saints might come up. We'll see what happens. But it is going to be at the top, Dallas and Philly and San Francisco. I don't think there's any question about that. The AFC, it is loaded. Absolutely loaded with plenty of teams. Look how good the division is with the Jets. All 4 teams have really good defenses. The Pats don't have the offense, but they have the defense. Miami has both. Buffalo has even more. And the Jets, obviously, with their all-world quarterback. This is a Jet team that, in my estimation, has made the single biggest leap from one year to the other at quarterback in the history of the National Football League. Last year, they were inept. They were vacant. at the quarterback position. Now they put one of the best players who has ever performed, and that is not an overstatement, at the position, front and center. The Aaron Rodgers review has hit Broadway. It has hit New York in a big way. He has taken every step the right way. He has been everywhere. He has done everything. The Hard Knocks 4 weeks was basically a promo to Rodgers. I mean, that's what it was. I mean, you know what? If he was running for governor, he couldn't have put together a better piece of tape than what you saw for 4 weeks from Hard Knocks. I mean, it was ridiculous. To even in week 4 where he's discussing his, brush with UFOs. So we have really run the gamut with Rodgers. It's time to play football. And an amazing thing, you think of how many years the Jets and Giants have been ignored in prime time, especially the Jets. But you are going to see plenty of them in this season as both teams have very, very tough schedules to start this year. For the Giants, Dallas, which has been a nemesis, Sunday night. At the Cards, who are the worst team in the league. No question about it. Clearly the worst team in the league. And that's a W or it's a stunner. They have to turn around and play at San Francisco on Thursday night. So they'll stay out there and have a couple of days to turn around and get ready. They couldn't have had, if they're going to play a game on the road, they would handpick where they would play in terms of logistics and in terms of opposition. Cards on the road is perfect for week 2 if you're going to turn around a couple of days later and play in San Francisco, which they will on a Thursday night. They come off that game, then play Monday night at home against Seattle. Then they go play at Miami, and then they turn around and play at Buffalo on a Sunday night. So the Giants are on Sunday night, Thursday night, Monday night, and Sunday night in the first 6 weeks of the season. They're in prime time 4 times. The Jets don't get any easier. Obviously open with a huge Monday nighter against a very, very good Bills team. And we will see right off the bat whether the Jet tackles on offense are going to hold up in terms of protecting Rodgers against this Buffalo defense. It gets harder in week 2 because Dallas comes in with a defense every bit as good and maybe with the premier pass rusher in the sport. Then New England. And you never brush them aside. Come visit in week 3. Kansas City on a Sunday night at home in week 4. At Denver, and we all know that is going to be the grudge game after Sean Payton's remarks. And then the Eagles at home. So they are going to see the Bills, the Cowboys, the Pats, the Chiefs, and the Eagles in the first 6 weeks. They are going to see Buffalo and the Cowboys in the first 2 weeks. We are going to find out right away about the Jets. We're going to test their underbelly. We're going to test their offensive line. We're going to test where they are as a franchise right off the bat. And as we said, the expectations running very, very high. Now, as you know, as we start this football season, we got a lot of things to tell you. We have a lot of things we're going to start to incorporate in the weeks to come. But remember, you can always get my podcast wherever podcasts are available, but exclusively with Bet Rivers. If you're looking for it and looking for it quickly, go to the Bet Rivers app. You should download the Bet Rivers app. You'll have everything you need there. They are doing a tremendous job in expanding what they are bringing to you in terms of opportunities to wager. So go to the Bet Rivers app, download it, and remember, get extra value this football season with Bet Rivers Squares. Win up to $10,000. So right, $10,000 in bonus money. You bet $10 in same-game parlays on any game with the square icon that is available, and you earn a square. Now, that square is like the Super Bowl box, and you got action right there and a chance, if you connect and knock down the final score, with a chance to win $10,000 without putting up a dime. As a matter of fact, with as little as a $10 parlay. So check that out at the Bet Rivers app. Everything you need for bet is there at Bet Rivers, so they'll cover all of your needs. They are a quickly expanding entity, and they are doing a very, very good job. And they have gone into an exclusive arrangement with me, and I will be part of their action going forward. We're going to have monthly prop bets, which we will put up this weekend. The first one, it'll be jet-oriented, I can tell you that. We're working on it right now. We'll have that up and a bunch of other stuff to tell you about as we unfold. Now, running through the games of week number one, I know for you, you go into your Sunday ritual. This year, week one, might be a little different because the Giants aren't playing until Sunday night and the Jets aren't playing until Monday night. So you don't have the regular action. You know, the NFL is, in essence, Sunday at 1, although you wouldn't know that with what the Giants are going to face in the first 6 weeks, 4 primetime games. 2 Sunday nighters, a Monday nighter, and a Thursday night in San Francisco. Now, the Panthers and the Falcons are a team that clearly is on the improve. They lost a lot of one-run games last year. One-score games last year. They have maybe, or I would say pretty solidly, the best offensive line in the sport. They have some big-time talent that has been taken at the top of the draft. Panthers are rebuilding, obviously behind a very talented but a young quarterback. So look for the Falcons, I think, in a weak division to have a very good year. I think they are ready to make a move. They were better last year, and I think they'll be even better this year. I took them as one of my over-unders. I did the over-unders with Dog yesterday, and I on his serious show, and Falcons were one of my teams, as a matter of fact, because I think they will take advantage of not only being improved, but I think they will take advantage of the fact in the division they're in. Bengals and the Browns, again, very tough week one. Neighborhood rivalry, always a tough game. Very tough game always in Cleveland. It's going to be Bengals are a Super Bowl team. They have a great quarterback who just signed a huge extension. He's worth every dollar. He is, without question, at the top of the quarterback pyramid in the NFL. Mahomes deserves to be one. I think Burrow's next. I think he's every bit as good, if not better than Josh Allen. I think he is a premier quarterback. I think he is a lethal quarterback and an incredibly confident quarterback. Plus, he has the best trio of wide receivers on any one team in the league. But the Browns are good. They're good on defense. They can rush the quarterback. They have, I think, the most consistent runner in the league in Chubb. How good is the quarterback going to be? Last year when he took over, they went down. Can he get back to the level where he was 2 years ago or 3 years ago? If he does, they are going to be a serious team this year. I know you always think of the Browns, something's going to go wrong. But they are going to be a serious, serious team this year. And this is a tough opening game. Jags and Colts, a lot expected from the Jags. I don't think they're as good as their record indicated last year, but I do think that in Trevor Lawrence, they have one of the real budding superstars in the league. I think he's going to take his place among the top quarterbacks in the league, and they're in a very soft division. The Colts have Taylor on the PUP list, so he's gone for at least a month. Anthony Richardson is going to make big plays, most of them with his legs. He's going to make some downfield with his arm. He's not going to be, I think, a very high percentage passer or a big possession passer, but he's going to make big plays with his arm and with his legs. But again, when you start a first-year quarterback, if you draft him and play him right away, usually you're under 6 wins. I mean, that's what history tells you. It's very rare if you're not. Bucs and Vikings. The Vikings last year were amazing. They just rolled in their one-score games. They had a point differential that was negative, but they had a great record. I don't think they're as good as their record indicated, anywhere near. They showed that in the playoffs, and they've lost a lot of talent. I think that is a team that really could back up this year. We know the Bucs have already backed up. They have all kinds of issues. Titans at Saints, two teams to watch. Saints, again, like Atlanta, could take very big advantage of soft schedule, soft division. You don't want to ever count variable out, but it's going to be interesting to see what the Titans are this year. You know, that's a team that you had a lot of respect for every year. But they've changed a lot. And they might not be as good now. Niners and Steelers is a very interesting first week game. Steelers are good. Problem is they are in a tough neighborhood. They're in a very tough AFC, and they're in a very tough division. If the Steelers were in the NFC, they would be a lock to make the playoffs. I think they still could sneak in here, but it's going to be very tough. There's not a lot of room at the end. Niners are, at worst, the third best team in the NFC. If they're healthy, they're probably even in the top two. But remember, they're putting a lot in one basket with the quarterback, and he's coming off an injury. They have a lot of guys who keep getting hurt, both sides of the line, and their offensive line is taking a hit. I don't think they're as good. Now, the one thing that you notice with the Niners, when they either play really well or they play really badly, they don't usually, have a middle ground. They usually go, 12 wins, 13 wins, or 6 wins. They don't usually go 9 or 10. That's not their way. Hasn't been under Shanahan. Cards and Commanders. Washington isn't very good, but the Cards are flat out the worst team in the NFL, hands down. I mean, by a wide margin. If they win more than 3 games, it'll be a stunner. I think the Texans are going to be very good defensively. They play the Ravens here. A lot of people like the Ravens. I think it's going to take the Ravens some time to get things together. Texans have a big-time defense. They have a big-time running back. I think they're going to take and play it very conservatively with the quarterback and not ask him to do a whole lot. Defense, field position, run the ball, then we'll worry about throwing the ball. I think that the Texans could be a bit of a surprise. Packers and Bears, how far have the Packers fallen? Have the Bears improved? The answer is probably appreciably for the Packers, not very much for the Bears. Interesting week 1. Both teams really need to get out of the gate fast. Need that in a big way psychologically. Because a bad start for either one of these teams could be very, very damning. Raiders and Broncos. Raiders very hard to figure. Still have some talent. Broncos, as they start over after being so poorly coached, what's left for the quarterback? Going to be fascinating to see. They have receivers, but they're always hurt. They were very poor last year. They were just so badly coached that just the change there is very significant. The Eagles and the Pats. The Pats had such a weird year last year. They were bad on special teams, which is so atypical for the Pats. They're going to be good on defense. You question what they have offensively. You got Bill O'Brien back to run the offense. The offense really purred when he was there. He developed the tight ends. We know what he did there. And now he's back to run the offense. The Eagles lose both coordinators, no question. Is that a big hit? We'll see. I don't think so. They lost some key talent, but I think they still remain at the very top of the NFC. Dolphins and Chargers, two teams with very high expectations. Dolphins, if they can keep their key people healthy on offense, are going to be very good there, and they're good on defense. They're underrated on defense. There's not a bad defense in the AFC East. Chargers are very puzzling. Now let's see if they finally play the way everyone has always wanted them to play with this cast of characters. We know the talent is there. It never seems to come to the fore. The Rams and Seahawks, hey, Rams are in a bad way. They don't have a lot of talent. It was surprising the head coach came back. It's a arduous rebuild there. Seahawks did a nice job. They never fell. They're well coached. They're tough to beat there. I don't think they're as good as some people have made them out to be, but you have to respect them because they win games. As I told you, the AFC is unbelievably loaded. Kansas City, can go to the Super Bowl, and obviously they're defending champs. Cincinnati can go to the Super Bowl. Buffalo can go to the Super Bowl without any question. Those three teams are there. But you know what? There are other teams that are right there knocking on the door, and the AFC is absolutely loaded, really loaded, with the Jets, with Miami, with Pittsburgh, with Baltimore. You go down the line, you know what? There are so many good teams in the AFC. The NFC, it falls off dramatically. Philly, Dallas, San Francisco, goodbye. Wide open for anybody else to sneak in there. Are the Lions ready to emerge? We'll see. Step one was a good one. Are the Falcons ready to emerge? Do the Saints bounce back? All remains to be seen. Are the Giants headed to a second straight postseason? All remains to be seen, but what is clearly indisputable is that it is Philly, Dallas, San Francisco, then draw the line. And the AFC is woefully weak compared to the AFC, which is loaded. The NFC is woefully weak compared to it. As I said, 7 of the top 10 teams in the league are in the AFC. Without any question. Emails right after this.
You're listening to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.
Francesa Football Friday as we get ready for the first Sunday of the season, week one of the National Football League, which began last night with Detroit's 21-20 win over very sloppy Kansas City. Mike Francesa podcast at gmail.com is where you send the emails. These all have an NFL slant. Let's take a look. Where do you put Gronkowski on your all-time tight end list? Well, one of the things is, two things you notice about the best tight ends. Usually they were hooked with a very good quarterback. Brady with Gronkowski. Mahomes with Kelce. Winslow. And obviously a very distinguished quarterback. Jason Witten. And obviously a very distinguished quarterback. Go down the line. Now the tight end position has changed. You don't have to be the monster blocker. You don't have to be the physical type that Mark Bavaro was or that Mike Ditka was in a generation before or John Mackey was. When you name all the names that I've mentioned, Gronkowski's right there. You saw him play in a lot of big games. You saw him make a lot of big plays. I think as a pass catcher and as a part of the offense and as an integral figure in what they do, I think Kelce is as good as any tight end we have ever seen. Is he the best blocker? No. Is he the best two-way tight end? Very debatable. Is he the best target? Yes. And his impact, just like Gronk's, who was always there to bail out Brady, just like that, Kelce is always there. If Kelce were there last night, do I think Kansas City would have won? Yes. Mahomes would have hit Kelce with one of those plays down the middle. He would have hit Kelce in a move. Kelce would have broke a tackle. He would have hit Kelce, and he would have been wide open. He would have got Kelce in the spot. He would have made enough plays with Kelce to win the game. I don't think there's any doubt about it. He had the game if Tony caught the ball. He had the game if Sky Moore caught the ball. He had the game if they didn't put a hold on the Sky Moore play. The bottom line is it would have easily been there with Kelce. That's how good he is. But Gronk ranks. I would never call him the best. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't call any of those guys the best. They're all a little different. And generations change and players change. You know, I love the two-way talent of Bavaro as a blocker, as a big target, as a terrific runner after the catch. I mean, to me, in a big spot, if I had Mark Bavaro at tight end, I'm thrilled. He'll never let you down. John Mackey, Ditka, Witten. Go down the line, Winslow. Tony Gonzalez, Gronkowski, Kelce. They all deserve acclaim. They all deserve that kind of mention. Dak Prescott versus Kirk Cousins. Which one has been more disappointing? I'd say because of the national spotlight, probably Dak. Not that Kirk hasn't been. They both have their moments. They both pile up big numbers, but they're never there in a big spot. Both disappointing. I'd say Dak. With the talking that the Jet players and coaches have done, plus all the media coverage, I would think that defenses of opposing teams are going to gear up and come at the Jets, specifically Rodgers, very hard. I don't think there's any question that was going to happen anyway. But I think you're right. I think there is a lot of teams, especially in their division, and they're going to see Buffalo and they're going to see New England in the first 3 weeks, with the Cowboys in the middle of that threesome. I think without question, Buffalo is going to have that thought. I think without question, the Pats want to expose the Jets if they can. We know Belichick's feeling about the Jets. He loves to beat them. He would love to expose this team. And if you're going to expose this team, you're going to expose it in two areas. You're going to expose it in the area of coaching. You're going to expose it in the area of the offensive line. That is, without question, the Achilles heel. What's your take on Burrow as a quarterback now getting paid a fortune? Worth every penny. Terrific quarterback. Ranks at the top of the league. If I started a franchise with him, I would never be unhappy. I think he's a tremendous player. I think he's exactly what you want a quarterback to be. He is a cool customer when the game's on the line. He is clutch, and he is extremely confident that he can make the throw that he needs to make. And he also is blessed with a terrific, the best trio of receivers on one team in the NFL. No question. No question in my mind. If you ask me what team has the three best receivers in the sport, 100% Cincinnati. All three blend together perfectly. Chase obviously is a superstar player, budding to be, the top, the best of the best. And I think that the other two are underrated, but I think Cincinnati is blessed with a generational quarterback, a prolific quarterback who's worth every single dime. If I was drafting quarterbacks in the league, like I said, if you got Mahomes and I got Burrow, I'm very happy. Very, very happy. That's how good I think he is. I think he's every bit that good. Now remember, as was the case last year, and these have been extremely popular. And we will do it again after the Jets play, after the Giants play. We will have instant analysis. We will be up with podcasts right after the ball games end. When they're playing big games, when there's any big events this fall, any big game played, we will be there right up after it. I don't care if it's Sunday night. I don't care if it's Monday night. We'll be up right after the game with instant analysis of these games. So Sunday night after the Giants play, boom, we'll be there. Monday night after the Jets play, we will be there. If you want to wait and wake up with it Tuesday morning on your way to work at 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning, be my guest. But if you want it before that, it'll be there. Those will be there every single week of the season. And remember, the Football Friday podcast for each week, we will hope to have it up by 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon everywhere, each week, so that you're ready for your football week. And remember, for all of your wagering needs as you start this season, download the Bet Rivers app and go to Bet Rivers for all of your wagering needs. They will cover all of them. They have some very interesting things like the squares. They have some very, very big things they've done in the world of props, which fans seem to love. Two things I've noticed since we have this gambling craze that has taken over sports is that how much fans like parlays and how much they like props. Betting the game seems to be too mundane for the average wagerer. They like props. They like value. They like parlays. I mean, it's just the way it is. Now, remember, get extra value this football season with Bet Rivers Squares. Win up to $10,000 in bonus money. And you get it when you bet $10 in same-game parlays or more on any game that has the Squares icon. And plenty of games do in the NFL. I think basically almost all of them do, to earn that square. So you get a chance, get some more action, have some more fun, and maybe bank $10,000 in bonus money. Enjoy week number 1. Remember, we'll be there right after the Jet games, right after the Giant games, and most weeks right after the 1 o'clock action. In most weeks when there's stuff that's compelling, we'll put a podcast to it as soon as we possibly can. Because that's one of the things that, I really enjoy is that I can get in there and take the game apart and get it to you right away, right after the game's played. Because, I love analyzing the games. I love watching the games and then going right to work. And we will do that for you all season. And then on Fridays, we will be there with the Francesa Football Friday podcast each and every week. And it should be up by 12 or 1, wherever you get your podcast, or just download the Bet Rivers app. Enjoy week 1. We'll see you down the road.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.